watching the Sincerely Yours podcast with Andrew LaPrade. Guys, today is going to be an amazing episode. We're talking about a new industry. We're talking about the moving industry, an industry that I don't talk about a lot. So today, guys, we're going to unpack the story of Will Waldrop. Will is a guy that I met in the moving industry. He taught me a lot of things. I used to work for the company, Jubilee City Movers. It's a very nice company, man. I'm super excited to bring it to you guys because Will has a story of ambition, overcoming adversity, all the things that the Sincerely Yours podcast represent. We represent telling your story, letting your journey speak for itself, channeling that conversation through art and storytelling is all what it's about. So the Sincerely Yours podcast today, we're going to present to you an episode that's going to be empowering all of that message right there. So you guys don't want to miss this episode. Also, guys, all the Sincerely Yours gear is found at www.sincerelyyourstore.com. Make sure you guys go use my promo code. Now you can use the promo code Sincerely Yours Podcast, or we can do, you know what? We can change to SY Pod. That's a code that you guys can use now. So SY Pod gets you 10% off the any purchase that you might use. And new gear is coming soon, guys. Right now you see me sporting one of the jerseys, one of the SFL jerseys. This is a drop that we had that came last summer, but I'm going to re-release it during the spring months because I had a manufacturer to kind of burn me, kind of ran off with the money a little bit, so it kind of messed this whole situation up. But I'm still repping it. You can see the back of it right here. Got Sincerely Yours on there. Got 12. So it's gonna be nice when I re-release those. So those will be coming soon. But like I said, you can use that code SYPOD. But make sure you guys tune in to today's episode. I'm super excited about it. It's gonna be a nice one. It's going to be good. And if this video provides you any value, if it's informative to you in any way, please like, share, subscribe with a friend. Because a lot of y'all is just stopping by. Y'all not subscribing. So let's turn this into something real. Let's become family. You know what I'm saying? Help me to help you guys. So that way I can keep providing you guys new entrepreneurs, new creators. So let's continue to keep it going. I'm thankful for everybody that is subscribing and thankful for everybody that is listening to podcast because it's pretty good. You can also find me on Apple Podcasts. You can find me on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. But the main thing is Sincerely Yours Podcast on YouTube and all social. So see you guys soon. Make sure you guys tune into the episode. Let's go. Hey guys, Andrew LaPrade here with the Sincerely Yours Podcast. Guys, today we got another episode. This is actually episode 5. Today I got my guy with me, Will Waldrop of Jubilee City Movers. Today, we're going to be introducing a new industry that I never got a chance to talk about. So I'm very excited to unpack Will's story as well as get into a new industry. So without any further ado, Will, what's up, man?
What's up, buddy? Glad to be here.
Man. Thank you,
yes,
man.
Sir.
Thank you, man. What's going on with you, man? How you been?
I've been good. You know, it's Tuesday today. You know, so late in the afternoon, whole work day.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, Tuesday could feel like it's Saturday because we worked all week.
For sure.
So, trying to put in the work. But yeah, I'm feeling good, resting, not exercising, so no energy wasted there.
I hear that.
As you can tell. But yeah, things are good, man. I appreciate you asking.
Man, no problem, man. So like without any further ado, man, like I always tell all of my guests, I like to hop straight in. So
okay, let's do it.
Without that being said, who is William Waldrop?
Yeah, William Waldrop.
Waldrop. I almost said Waldrop.
Walls of Jericho will make the walls drop. So actually, William, I do go by William. I go by Will.
Yeah.
In the past had some crazy nicknames. Try not to go by those anymore. But
you want to drop one?
No. Okay. For the archive.
Yeah, okay, I got you. We'll keep those in the archive. Maybe Patreon.
Deep cut. So, grew up going by Billy. I'm born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama, where we're filming, and obviously I've got a professional side. I've got that,
for sure.
But deep down, who I am is just a hardworking, gritty, get it out. I don't want to try to make it cool, but get it out of the mud, do whatever it takes, type of guy that, has just worked through as much as adversity as I can and continue to try to overcome just to, fulfill the long-term vision. So obviously, there's a ton that I could say about me, but wherever direction you want to go, I'll let you lead.
No, for sure, man. And I don't know if we unpack, where are you from exactly?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Montgomery, Alabama.
Okay.
So when I was, I'm 38 now. So 20 years ago, whenever I was partying hard, I was 334 Bama, all that. So,
We all.
my area code was 334, still remember my first phone number. So yeah, from Ridgecrest, the white boy from the crest, listening to Deuce, Comrades, and Dirty Boys. So
Yeah, yeah.
still do. Just yesterday in the new truck you saw me pull up in.
I saw it. When I saw it, I was like, okay, he came up with a big boy.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought about pulling up on my motorcycle, but I was like, nah.
Yeah.
Let me show him the new truck. He's seen the bike, so. But yeah, still bumping Dirty Boys 20 years later,
Yeah.
and maybe 30 years later. So I'm from here though, brother.
Nah, man, for sure, man. Like, so with that being said, because I know it's never a thing of like, because culture is culture, like, no
That's
matter
right.
what side of the coin you're from. Did you ever have any like experience of like feeling like that you wasn't fitting in, or like was it just always like, yo, I'm down, this is who I am, man, regardless of what you see, bro?
Yeah, man. Of course.
Okay.
I think deep down, it's funny nowadays we have this popular trendy word. People say imposter syndrome,
Yeah, yeah,
which
yeah.
is a real thing. But
Yeah.
on one hand, I grew up in magnet schools.
Okay.
So, I had a mixed bunch. I'm
Okay.
blessed that I wasn't in public schools in the sense that I always had culture.
Yeah.
More so than if you were just in your public school.
For
You're
sure.
kind of locked in.
Yeah, yeah.
At least here in this area, and so as far as fitting in, I grew up in the magnet schools with tons of, preppy,
Yeah.
jock, all the stereotypes, right? Emo, all the stuff,
Yeah, yeah.
ghetto, especially back in those days.
Yeah.
So, but then I grew up in more so the
Yeah,
hood.
exactly.
I wouldn't say projects. But I did grow up in an area where real gangbangers were
Yeah.
doing their gang banging thing.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah.
so as far as trying to feeling like did you asked me did I fit in or
Yeah, like, did you ever feel like a disconnect? Like, okay, hey, like, because people will look at you obviously and be like, hey, this guy isn't, you know what I'm saying? But
well, listen, white people that act outside of their culture,
exactly.
which was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, people look at you and think.
Yeah, for sure.
But as far as how I personally felt, I think one of the things that has even helped me with my success to this day,
Yeah.
between entrepreneurship, leadership,
Yeah.
salesmanship, all the things, my relationships in my personal life, would come from just being able to have a lot of experience with a lot of different types of people.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, when you're young, I think, I don't know if it was insecurity or I didn't know who I was. I certainly tried to be somebody I maybe wasn't,
Okay.
but on one level, it was who I was, so I wasn't completely just, faking it.
Okay.
But because, especially in that time, I don't know if we need to get too deep in this, but I mean, at that time, like everybody was trying to be hood, and I
Yeah.
grew up in the hood. So all the white people and even some of the black people that I knew,
Yeah.
I really was next door to people gangbanging,
Yeah.
like for real. So selling drugs like
Yeah.
PCP and, not just weed. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, I smoked, early on as a teenager.
exactly. Yeah.
Before teen was in the name. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, of course, I think most people deal with that.
Yeah.
I don't know what human being in the planet just felt like they were always.
We all, anybody that say they didn't, they're lying. So yeah, we all.
But but I think I think I grew out of that out of my teenage years, and
Right.
and just even now I think I live more so for the audience of one,
Yeah.
and that helps me because even now, like if you're constantly as an adult, as a professional, like looking for some type of someone to affirm you for who you are,
Yeah.
you're in trouble.
Yeah.
And we see that with relationships. We
For
see
sure.
that in the choices that people make,
Yeah.
and I just let go of that early on because
Yeah.
I started making choices. Like when I came out of the crazy lifestyle we may or may not get into,
Yeah.
I basically started pursuing Christ. And when you start to pursue Christ after leaving that crazy lifestyle, like you got to basically be good with saying
For sure.
deuces to whoever. And
So it's a whole life you got to shut down.
you're literally, biblically it says, you were crucified with Christ. So
Yeah.
for me, it literally felt like that person died.
Yeah.
I'm moving on. But then you still have to, not necessarily spiritually speaking, but you have to be reborn several times in life. You go through many different life changes, and I think I've lived several different lives.
For sure.
So
For sure.
yeah, for sure.
So with that, so like that kind of fast tracks a little bit through your teenage years to like how you started to basically quote unquote find yourself. So when was it that you discovered like, okay, hey, I want to do this ultimate task of being a mover, and then also not just being a mover, but starting your own company?
Yeah, so life's a funny thing,
Yeah.
right? There's, I say this to my crew and to people I recruit and customers that we do business with.
Mm.
No one grew up saying, "Hey, I want to be a mover." Like, oh, I want to drive the big truck. Now, you might, as a little boy, want to drive a big
Yeah,
truck,
for
but
sure.
you weren't talking about moving furniture.
Yeah.
And right now I'm not moving furniture anymore.
Yeah.
At least not on a day-to-day, hour basis
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
But I fell into. I wouldn't say I fell. I would say I stumbled along
Okay.
the path of working for a moving company.
Okay.
And it was supposed to be a 2 or 3 week thing. Like, I was already a professional. Like I said already, I'm 38.
Mhm.
And I started several years ago, and I had already been a professional.
Yeah.
I wore ties to work every day, made
Yeah.
good paychecks, was in my mind, a man paid somebody to fix their floors. They didn't fix
Exactly.
their floors. Like, to me, and I think that's a skewed, perception of
Yeah.
what men is,
Yeah.
which is a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
But because there's different type of men, and I'm good with that. But at the same time, that's what I viewed success, what a successful man was, and so
Yeah.
that's all I achieved for. I don't have to learn any of those skills if I can just learn how to make money and pay someone.
Exactly.
And so when I started moving, I became the someone paid.
Mm.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it was a big ego hit to me at the time,
Yeah.
but it was a real necessary identity, humility, ego death,
Okay.
And God, I believe, I feel like with my faith that it was a necessary death in order to be able to be a good leader.
Okay.
Because there was this, I felt like I was a humble person then,
Yeah.
but there was something still in the way of me, that I don't think I would have been as good of a leader if that's how I viewed it.
Yeah.
Certainly if now, because right now, I don't know if we made it clear. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
I own a moving company.
For sure.
Jubilee City Movers.
Yeah.
And so I started as a mover, and I was, basically had started a men's home, developed a small, a new relationship with another moving company who was willing to move, allow the guys in my men's home
Yeah.
through a recovery process work for him because they had a speckled past.
Yeah.
And then I needed a 2 to 3 week in between. I told him straight up, "Hey, I'm not looking to be your MVP, your all-star, your full-time, not your go-to guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just, I need a job for a couple of weeks," which is tough to tell somebody that's hiring, right?
Exactly.
But I had a relationship with it. He said, "Come on, I'll help you out." I said, "Great, I'll find another job." Years later, I'm still here. But I worked for them for a little bit, a couple other moving companies, and just found a gap in the industry. When I think about why did I start a moving company, I wasn't ambitious to do that.
Yeah.
I had a
Hey, wait. Before you skip this ad, guys, make sure you please subscribe to the podcast. I mean, I shouldn't tell you how to subscribe, but you can just click the red button and then you just click the subscribe and then it subscribes to the YouTube. Let's get back to the video.
had other plans, other skill sets, but I did, sometimes you just stumble along an area of life where you see a need and then
Makes
you
the most sense for you.
feel a heart desire to kind of fill that gap, fill that need. So that's what I would say is, simply put, I kind of stumbled along into it.
Yeah. So during that time though, because you said that you kind of just stumbled along to it, you was kind of working it at that moment. So it wasn't any ideas at that. I want to get the timeline right. So it wasn't any ideas at that moment that you wanted to start your own movie company. It was just going.
When I went to work for him,
Yeah.
or the other company,
Yeah.
no, it was 2 to 3 weeks, dog. I'm out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then
and then even then, so what, just as encouragement, just whatever this podcast, I listen to podcasts for entertainment and encouragement and stuff. And so I would just say, anybody listening, for me, I actually had already graduated, university. I had done more college than a doctor by, this point that I'm talking about in my life.
Yeah.
And then I decided to go back to school again.
Okay.
And not because I wanted to make more money. I actually was trying to figure out why that men's home I started failed.
Oh.
And so I went to go get some more information and just figure out, hey, what can I do differently so this succeeds? So my plan, even after the 2 to 3 week timeline that I was hoping for,
Yeah.
I decided to stick around at least for a year or two while I finished that schooling again.
Okay.
Because at least that gave me the flexibility for me to focus on the skill sets I needed to gain in that time frame, for me to go back out with the tools I needed.
Okay.
And but then in that timeline, that after about a year of doing it, I just had a real deep sense that I was supposed to stay in this lane, that it wasn't going to be what I thought.
Okay.
And then just here I am still, thankfully.
Okay, so that shift then, because that's an important part right there. So at that time, you knew that, hey, there's something deeper that I need to be trying to attack. and you couldn't figure it out at the moment. So at that moment, you started to say, okay, let me try school out. Well, I'm sorry, not try school out. Let
Yeah,
me
yeah. Go
continue
back to
school.
school.
Let me
Yeah.
do this and this. So when was that exact peak moment for the audience that you was like, okay, hey, this
I'm
is
gonna
it's
do this.
time for me to go ahead and do this.
So, check it out. We've all worked for terrible people, all of us.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. I
Yeah.
hope that you never do. But, I worked for two, I wasn't really married to the moving industry, but I
Okay.
did in that time kind of gain a love for it. I
Okay.
would even say a passion deep enough.
Okay.
But it wasn't so passionate in love I wanted to marry it,
Yeah.
for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I got that.
Wasn't that. But I did love a lot of things about it, and it excited me on a daily basis. I
Mhm.
wasn't bored. If you're anything like me, and I know you are because I know
Yeah.
you a little bit, you
Yeah.
kind of get bored if you're not really
Yeah.
kind of really doing your thing. And,
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
if
Absolutely.
you were to look at my track record, it's for sure that's me.
Yeah.
And so the moment that really I knew
Mhm.
that's the path I'm going to go
Exactly.
would be after a year and 1 week I worked in the moving industry.
Okay.
And I worked for one competitor,
Okay.
that I'm still friendly with now. And, I moved on because I didn't feel like we could continue to grow together, but good
Okay.
relationship was good.
Okay.
And then I went to work for another one. Rest in peace to that guy. He passed this past year.
Okay.
But 1 weekend, he messed with my paycheck the first week.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think I may have even mentioned this before to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, that being said, that first week I was stressed out of my mind.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I just changed jobs.
Yeah.
I'm screwed.
Yeah.
This guy's playing with my money. He's not paying me what he promised.
Mhm.
And so I'm in the shower. Well, in this, again, I'm just being myself here.
Yeah.
The church I go to, we always get a word for the year.
Mhm.
I'm praying 21 days of prayer. It's kind
Yeah.
of a steady thing, always at the first of the year. So I'm in this prayer season of prayer, heavy every day, 6 a.m.,
Yeah.
no games.
Yeah.
And the word for the year in this year in 2023 was surrender.
Mm.
And so, it was heavy on my heart. I'm
Yeah.
focused on it. It was kind of at the top of your head every moment because it's the new year.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's like 9 o'clock Friday night.
Yeah.
Paycheck messed up. Can't get a hold of the guy. I'm like, okay, this guy's playing. So anyway,
Yeah.
I went and just showered. I'm dirty from a long day. I worked
Mhm.
hard this week and today.
Yeah.
And man, when I got in the shower, like a lot of us do, we pray,
Mhm.
kind of talk to God. And when I did, I lifted my hands
Mhm.
and I said, Lord, I guess I just surrender it to you because I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
I felt like you led me to this job. I knew it wouldn't be perfect, but this ain't it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the exchange was instant. The
Yeah.
moment I raised my hands, I said, I surrender. It was like I knew deep in my soul, in my heart, that I was supposed to form my own moving company.
Oh wow. That's powerful, man, because it's just like because at times when we all go through something and they say you're hearing God speak, a lot of the times they resulted to they related to you having to be quiet in that
Yeah.
moment. So like were you easy accepting of that or was it a drawback like, hey, this is what I gotta do now or what?
I've got several stories, and anybody that walks with God and feels like they hear from Him,
Mhm.
they might know everything. It sounds like an extraordinary thing, and it very much so is whenever you feel like you've heard from the Lord, and
Mhm.
especially when there's life direction involved.
Exactly.
And certainly, many times I've heard what I felt like in my heart was the right thing from God,
Mhm.
and didn't necessarily want that. Hey,
Okay.
break up with this girl. Hey, quit this job.
Yeah.
Go to
Yeah.
work for this job.
Yeah.
By the way, including go to work for this mover
Yeah.
the very first time.
Yeah.
Oh, stay at work, stay in the moving
Yeah.
industry,
Yeah.
right? And so at this time, first of all, like I said, and I know you are similar like this, I was ambitious for years.
Mhm.
Since I was a kid, I felt like I would, there was this like sense that I would own a business.
Yeah.
And because of that, I've tried to start many businesses.
Okay.
And I got a couple failed ones, in the resume.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that being said, so over time you get a little older, a little bit more experienced, a little wiser.
Yeah.
I'm like, I better just not step right out and do this because I think it's the right thing. But I knew, but see, I thought the men's home was something I knew too.
Yeah.
So when you make a couple mistakes, you're a little bit more
Exactly.
cautionary about your decisions, especially when you start going to tell people on the internet and your world and your friends and your family, I'm gonna
Yeah.
start this business. Oh, it's a moving business. my own family told me that's a terrible idea. You'll never succeed. Why
Yeah,
did you even move back here?
exactly.
By the way, that was a decision. I moved, I'm born and raised here, but I didn't tell you I lived in another state for
Hmm.
over, a decade and a half.
Hmm.
And so I didn't want to move back here, but I felt like I knew in my soul, Sweet Home Alabama was the calling. So
Always repping.
came home.
Yeah,
So none of this would transpire if I wasn't just obedient and willing and able to surrender
yeah.
what my life looked like. I don't trust myself.
Okay.
I trust him. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say, yeah, I didn't think I wasn't willing to jump right out there and do it. So I prayed on it a little bit more,
Yeah.
researched, started taking real small steps.
Yeah.
And then just, the way that I move, actually, I'll share this with you too. You got to be careful, I guess, how you apply this.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I run and own a moving company,
Mhm.
but I felt like whenever I really, at this point, like knew without a shadow of a doubt, this is it, because I
Yeah.
had started taking small steps and I still felt peace.
Yeah.
I felt like I heard the Lord say, "Move like you can't lose."
Mm.
So even now, I'm making decisions.
It's already
Even this
predestined.
week,
Yeah.
like, hey, oh, that's going to be $20,000. I'm gonna move like I can't lose. Let's just do it. And if it's a risk and it fails, I just did what I felt like I was supposed to.
So okay, so with that shows me that basically you had a lot of trials and tribulations with it. You was able to bring it up. You was able to make it successful. So let's get to the part of where what is Jubilee City Movers and how did you come up with the name? Why? The whole breakdown. Like
Well, I
what
really, I really love this story. I don't
yeah.
get asked enough for my own personal excitement.
We got to, man. We
You
got to
know.
that, and that's why I was excited to bring you on because I was just like, there's other industries that people. Well, when I say people, I'm speaking about my audience in particular that never even heard about, and
Yeah, yeah, for
I
sure.
was truly inspired. I told you this off camera. I was truly inspired by your story, and I was just like, regardless of man, I want to share it with the audience. So, yeah, man, you got the floor
Well,
on it.
I appreciate your encouragement.
Mm,
Just someone being inspired, and because you just can't imagine what someone that has put themselves out there,
mhm.
that's putting people on their back,
Yeah,
taking these risks. It's a thankless job.
yeah,
Being an entrepreneur is a thankless job because you're the guy that's supposed to take care of everybody,
exactly,
and people don't really know what you do. Make a lot of decisions for people without them ever even knowing.
exactly.
It's a lot of care, and so anyway, whenever someone even just shares, hey, I was inspired, man,
Yeah.
it's really encouraging. So I just encourage you and everyone else that's
Mhm.
watching and listening, just like tell somebody if somebody does something, like tell them that's inspiring, man,
For
because you
sure.
just
For
don't
sure.
know how it'll hit them.
Yeah.
And it doesn't get old. They're not egotistical. They just need encouragement like
Yeah.
anyone else.
Yeah, a lot of
But
people feel like they feel like less of a man to do that, and nah, I don't
no,
rock that way. Like if you inspire me, I'm like, bro, I'm inspired by you, bro.
yeah, and
Like,
I like that
yeah.
about you. So, for the Jubilee City, right?
Mhm.
It started with the men's home.
Okay.
So, try not to make this real long, but
Yeah.
bottom line, the men's home that I started,
Mhm.
in ministry was, I felt like I got it from scripture
Okay.
because it was going to be a 1 year commitment, in the home. Like men are going to come here and grow in their life. And my logo for Jubilee City Movers is a palm tree.
Mhm.
Well, so was the men's home,
Yeah.
right? But it was a totally different logo, and it still is. It's online and stuff, and it's still, the nonprofit exists, but I
Yeah.
just am not doing much with it right now. But long story short, it was because in the scripture it talks about it, the Jubilee year being the year of favor and restoration and freedom,
Okay.
right? And a time of celebration. Because slaves were, that were indebted,
Yeah.
that had to sell their kids and give away their home and go to work for somebody for however long.
Yeah.
Every 50th year in the scripture, they would have a year of Jubilee, and
Yeah.
all that debt they would be released from it.
Okay.
And so, long story short, that's what I was trying to do with men. They were going
Mhm.
to come have a year of Jubilee. Well, whenever it came to the moving company, I kept the name. That's all I knew. I knew
Yeah.
I should keep the name. I knew that I felt like God gave it to me for a reason,
Yeah.
and I knew that God would show me why I should keep it. Well,
Okay.
we still work with men at our company that are going through lifestyle changes.
Mhm.
So I still get to kind of do what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
It's just not in the same capacity.
Okay.
So that's cool. I think that's a reason. But as far as branding and marketing, and I know that you're a marketing guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
I really am so excited to share because I think especially for a young company like us. Like,
Yeah.
I believe the branding that we're building is truly a legacy brand
Mhm.
and one that will stand tall through the times to come.
Yeah.
And now I think we grew into our logo and branding at first, and now we're kind of outgrowing it, and we're going to probably have to refresh it
Okay.
because we're outgrowing that.
Okay.
But that being said, Jubilee is for there's a lot of different definitions of Jubilee.
Yeah.
And for whatever yours is, there, we're in Montgomery. Back in the day, we had the Jubilee City Fest.
Mhm.
Really good time in my life, right?
For sure.
Lots of great bands. If you weren't there, you missed it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Those were
But
good times, man.
very
Those were
good
good
times.
times.
So this is a spin off that, but deep down, that's not the root. That's not the real meaning.
Okay.
We kept the palm tree and the Jubilee aspect of it because basically, and our colors are orange, right?
Okay.
Very bright, very festive, fun, happy, like really stand out. And when you think about Jubilee, I would think, for those that you don't have any context for that,
Yeah.
I would tell you to think Mardi Gras.
Okay.
Really loud colors, real big celebrations,
Yeah.
and so, our core values are celebrate, elevate, ownership, and care.
Okay.
Right. And so celebrating is everything. That's where I like that about you. Like, you're celebrating, hey, I'm inspired. Like, so we're all about celebrating. Jubilee is a jubilant. Like, hey, it's not really something people say very much,
Yeah.
but if you're jubilant, you're happy and excited and celebrating, and
Exactly.
it's a good vibe,
Exactly. Yeah.
And now you might be feeling it, but you just don't go, hey, buddy, I'm feeling jubilant. So
Yeah, that's not a common word. It's like, yeah, I get what you're saying.
no, but we do use the word celebrate,
Exactly.
right? And
Yeah.
so, Jubilee and celebrate, our mission is to create moves worth celebrating, right?
Okay.
And so we're helping people celebrate their next move. So just like we were going to do for the men
Mhm.
that were changing their lives, we're doing that for people having new beginnings as far as like, hey, because the people that move, by the way, it's not, you've moved before. So think about it, especially if
Yeah.
you're older. It's, hey, I got married. Oh, I just had a kid. Oh, we're upsizing because our family's growing. We're downsizing. The kids moved out.
Yeah.
We just had a divorce. Oh, we had someone die. Like, we're moving into our dream home. Oh, we lost our job. We're going broke. We had to downsize. Like, there's major emotional moments. And so what we try to do is celebrate that moment in time, because if you've ever moved, it can be awful,
I know.
So so we try to really bring that and make that a milestone and celebrate that. And so the palm tree is just kind of symbolic of as far as freedom of the stress and a celebratory time. For me, I'm a palm tree guy. Like, I like going to the beach. If I drive in the neighborhood right here where we're at, if I see a palm tree, I'm looking, because it puts me in a mindset of peace.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do for people. And that's why we're doing that, as far as what that is, what that means, and how that breaks down into reality.
No, I love the bright colors, because I always think that when you show brightness, it uplifts people, and it, like you said, it's celebratory. So with that,
even with my social media today, I have people that run my social,
okay.
and basically I gave them some feedback. I love what they're doing.
Yeah.
And this isn't a call out. I already spoke with them. But I said, hey, I want you to think about our brand.
Yeah.
By the way, this is my staff, not some agency. I'm like, hey,
I was about to say a slight flex. I hope to get somebody running my socials, but continue.
But look, it ain't like that. But that being said, look, I told him, I said, look, there's a filter that you've been putting on our pictures that are classic photos. I took the photos that they had posted over the last few days myself randomly, so I knew even exactly what the original photos looked like.
Yeah. And
they were bright, and they had like some filter and some shading on it and just some dim, like whatever. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I love what you're doing with what it says, the graphics you're putting around it, but I want you to brighten these photos up, because our brand is bright and happy, and it sticks out. It turns your head, like it breaks your neck. Yeah. And when you're on a social media feed, when everything else is blending in because it's noise and not important, I want it to be eye-catchy.
Stop the scroll. Yeah.
And so that was the feedback I gave. And so everything we do is kind of like eye-catchy. Yeah. And not for, hey, look at me, I'm egotistical, but I think everyone gets to enjoy being a part of the brand itself.
Yeah. So with that being said, how do you feel like when people are not as educated on the moving industry? Like, how does this affect you when you're trying to, do what you've worked so hard on to get it out there to the masses? How does that affect you in some way?
It's par for the course. Okay. I don't feel frustrated. Honestly, I've told you before, I think that sales, dealing with customers that maybe have hired movers or never hired movers. I
Hmm.
think this is one of the easiest sales jobs I've ever been a part of.
Hmm.
And it's because people are so uneducated.
Okay.
So for me, I'm excited. It's like some people that hire people, they would rather hire somebody that's never done something than teach a dog with, old dog new tricks.
Yeah.
For me, I love when a new family, and I ask them almost every time, hey, have you ever hired professional movers before?
Yeah.
And they'll either tell me yes or no. Like one lady today, it was their 21st move. So,
Hmm.
so whether it's a new person that's never hired movers before, or somebody that's moved, a career mover because they're in military or whatever,
Yeah.
I get to shine either way.
Okay.
Well, hey, if this is your 21st move, it's going to be your best move. Because
Yeah.
let me tell you about how we do things. It's a lot different than other moving companies.
Yeah.
And then for the new people, I get to educate them. Well, hey, since you've never been able to, or never hired movers before, then let me tell you our process so you know
Yeah.
what to expect, because people hate surprises.
Okay.
And so for me, honestly, it genuinely is an opportunity, is how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an opportunity because, like I stated to you before, when I first figured out about your industry, I didn't even know moving could be to that level that you guys represent, and I gotta, hats off to you that you guys really take your time with it, and it's worth the price.
Oh yeah.
And I know sometimes that can be a struggle to convey that message to your supporters basically, or the
Yeah,
people that's trying
sometimes.
to do that. So like I just always was curious about that. Like, is that frustrating because it's like, okay, hey, like somebody can be like, oh, this price costs this and that's too much. You like, no, like, hey, like we're trying to make sure your furniture is actually protected, you know? So
Yes.
I wanted you to speak a little bit about that. Like, how do you stay within your prestige of what Jubilee City Movers represents and the whole brand of like explaining that to you, to your
Well,
guests?
if you have a standard, people either meet you at your standard, or
Okay.
you have to come off your podium
Okay.
and either stoop down.
Okay.
And if you make this, you can simplify this, because for me, I have standards is who
Mhm.
I'm going to date, who I would marry,
Yeah,
people that I'm going to associate with. I'm not hanging around with people that are doing foolish things.
exactly.
I'm not, dating OnlyFans
Yeah.
models.
Yeah.
So same thing. It's like you have standards.
Mm.
So either you communicate those standards and why they're important to you, and why I think people need to know why.
Yeah.
And then, once you tell people what and the why behind it,
Mhm.
then they step up. And I think that's just comes from communication and influence.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, because I always used to say like whenever I step into a company or go with a company, like I always ask them what's the prestige that your customers or consumers know, basically. And I was just curious about that because I was just like, they're just looking at it as just a simple thing of like, hey, we're just gonna move. I can go get my brother, my uncle to do this, but you're looking at it as like, hey, no, this is an actual business that I take pride in because I've been doing this for a while and I actually know the culture of it. So I just was curious of how you present that to them without them feeling offended or like the lack of education, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, hey, when people are uneducated and
Mm.
they think it's that simple,
Yeah.
then you have to take one step back and slow down and kind of, like I said, educate
Hmm.
people and just communicate. Well, hey, can I tell you a little bit about this process? Because I
Yeah.
know whenever you had Uncle Joe and them,
Yeah.
load that U-Haul up a couple years ago.
Just throw it in the back,
Yeah,
buy them pizza,
I want you to think about the walls that got, you have to show them, people, what does it say? People perish for the lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
People make dumb decisions because they don't have all the information necessary to make
Mhm.
a good decision.
Yeah.
So when you, kind of fill in the gaps that they don't have the information,
Hmm.
it's my obligation to give that to them. Like, I'm
Okay.
only doing them a disservice if I don't.
Yeah.
So, you just have to explain the level of execution that, your company delivers.
Hmm.
And if they see the value in that, great, we can work together. And
Yeah.
if they don't, they can call Uncle, or another company that doesn't have, you call it prestige. I would just say a premium level of service.
Okay.
And, whenever that can sound bougie, but honestly, man, I think it's just normal business behavior.
Yeah.
People, the customer service level, that we didn't set out to be luxury movers, and
Yeah.
that's really not what we are, but we give that premium level of service.
Yeah.
And whenever you do that, your reputation grows because no one can compare. All you have to do is focus on your your path and what you're looking to, just do in life and in business. And when you do that, people notice.
Yeah.
It's like Martin Luther King said, or I hate when I mess up quotes, but he's like, and you might can correct me, but hey, if you're going to be a street sweeper, be the best street
Oh yeah.
sweeper.
Yeah.
And for me, that's how I felt when I was on the trucks working for another company.
Mhm.
If I'm spending my day to day
Mhm.
working, my level of energy and passion and communication with customers and team members and coworkers,
Exactly.
then I'm bringing my best wherever I am. Like our core value is elevate. Like we're going to elevate the wherever I am, where my feet set, is my domain, especially as a man. But I believe even as a woman, wherever where you are, that's you have dominion,
Yeah.
and it is your God-given responsibility to elevate and leave people better and places better than you found them.
Exactly.
So,
Man, dude, amazing episode. I've gotten to know you very good, man. The audience has got to know you really good. Shifting gears a little bit, I'm gonna get into some of my SYP questions as we wrap up the show.
cool.
It's just quick hitters, man. Just fun, lighthearted, man. So, strangest thing that you have ever eaten?
So I did some missions work through the years,
Yeah.
and I've been overseas quite a bit, several different countries, and it might be common for some people, but for me, eating fish with eyes still in them,
Oh man.
I mean, I know people do that here, but
Yeah.
it's not common.
Yeah.
It was strange for me, your food looking right at you.
Yeah.
No,
You gotta be a bold person, man, to eat a fish with his eyes still open, man.
I've eaten some things I don't know what they are. I couldn't even tell you. And that's the strange part is I don't know what's in this. And I'm not
Yeah.
talking about, from the restaurant down the street we
Yeah.
make jokes about.
Yeah.
I mean across the ocean. And you have no idea. So and you just, smile because you don't speak their language and go,
Exactly. And you gotta just eat it.
yeah,
And hope you
Thank
don't
you,
have a
smile.
tummy ache afterwards, man.
Yeah. Well you might, but
All right, my next one. Hero or the villain? And which one do you see yourself as?
Oh man, I've never seen myself as the villain.
Okay.
I think we're all the hero in our own story.
Yeah.
I don't think, whether that's how you should feel about yourself.
Mhm.
I think especially as men,
Mhm.
I can't speak for women on that, but what I would say is I'm a servant.
Yeah.
And when you serve, you inherently, even if you don't set out to be a hero, when you serve, you become a hero.
Okay.
We actually have a local hero discount for, medical workers, firefighters, policemen, military,
Okay.
and we call it our local hero discount because people that serve are local heroes. People, that sticks out among, you could be a regular person, but if you serve and save lives or you do something, whatever, serving makes you a hero. And so, do I see myself as a hero? Maybe not. I think there's some elements that I see pop out in life.
Yeah.
But it's more so I see myself as a servant, and that lends itself way more to hero than villain.
For sure. For sure. No, I like that, man. We always got to be heroic and be heroes, man. The other question and my final question on the SYP that I got for you, since we're both Gump boys, man. Give me your top three Gump artists, man, that's ever come through any era, man. It doesn't matter.
Look, no disrespect to any of these new guys, but I'm from the early 2000s,
Yeah.
right? And it's only I don't know anyone else or don't care to hear it. You don't
Yeah.
care about your opinion.
Yeah.
It's just Dirty Deuce and Small Time Ballers, period.
Man, straight up. Man.
There's a couple others I did listen to back then, but
You gotta throw Jungle Baby in there though.
well, he's Small Time.
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
he did
okay,
work
okay,
with Small
okay.
Time.
Yeah. Nah,
He's certified. Shout out.
I agree with you, man. And briefly on this last one, man, is what is the impact Will wants to leave, man, on anybody that's looking up to you and just anybody that's following your path, man?
I think it's an important question.
Okay.
First let me say that. I know it's supposed to be a quick question, but
Yeah.
I want to take just 1 minute, and
Sure.
this is the most important question you asked, I think.
Yeah.
Look, I've gone so far as to write a eulogy
Okay.
for my own death at my funeral.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Wow,
And
serious.
in my eulogy, and by the way, I'm single, no kids, shout out and come. But no, seriously, like I'm just saying I'm thinking about my future, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about having kids and grandchildren and just the legacy that I hope to build as far as my family and the business and what I hope to achieve, but what the impact I would like to not achieve, but the impact it would have
Yeah.
with the achievements that I'm able to get and do. So I would just encourage anybody to write your eulogy. And the reason I'll say it's important, and I wanted to take an extra second, is because I used to be drug addicted, right?
Mhm.
And that's part of the reason I started the men's home. And I've been free and sober from drugs for a long time.
Mhm.
But one of the things, just one of a few, that really impacted and shifted my mindset and helped change the trajectory of the path that I was on was a man spoke in a pulpit, and he was talking about, he asked the question to the audience,
Yeah.
what do you want people to say at your funeral?
Yeah.
And I'd never taken 2 seconds to consider that far in the future.
Yeah.
And when you don't think about the future, you can't do anything today that your future self will thank you for, because you're not thinking that far ahead. And so
that's right in that. Shout you out, I promise you.
and so when you do that, so for me, that changed my life.
Yeah.
And when so you can figure out how it practically works out in your life.
Exactly.
But it's a lot. It affects everything. My future self, I'm thinking about my 80-year-old self, or even at my deathbed, 90, whenever I die.
Mm.
What do I want my son to say about me, my daughter to say about me, my friends in the community? How did I impact the Gump? I genuinely, a lot of my conviction comes from how can I impact not just my team, but the people that that will move to Montgomery in 20 years.
Yeah.
Because I did this business, what can I do for the community? And then that person that moves here, how is that going to impact them, whether they ever know my name or not?
Yeah.
And so the impact I want to have is being a servant, but I just want to, it's not like Mike Tyson. He says, how do you want to be remembered? Or he was asked, you remember this? And this little girl, and he was like, I don't want to be remembered. That's so egotistical. I don't think that's a bad thing. I do want to be remembered, but more so, I just want to make an impact for the kingdom of heaven. I want to make an impact on eternity, whether that's money that I give, the mission, the countries I go across seas for. I hope to write books someday. I hope to help business owners and want-to-be entrepreneurs, or people that desire that life to be some sort of coach and mentor to people. I want to help people get set free off drugs and alcohol and change their life, because that was me. I was just a guy that was making terrible decisions, and then people that meet me today think I'm a successful business owner, and you got your life together. Oh, you got a nice truck, man. I see you got the warehouse, all the stuff going on, and they just don't know I was an idiot. I don't promote that, but at the same time, I never hold my story back ever about the mistakes and the terrible decisions I was making, because I was just focused on me and selfishly and how I can make myself feel good today. And so I just, hope to help people elevate their life, whatever it is, and make an impact in their circle of influence as well.
Yeah, man, powerful, man. Like, guys, another great episode. Please, if this video gave you any value and if it was informative, please like and share and subscribe with a friend. But before we head out, Will, let them know about your socials, where they can find you at.
Yeah, so obviously I want to shout my business out, Jubilee City Movers. If you're moving at all,
the comments too.
Yeah, please click the link, call the office. If you're doing a move, I'll even discount by the chance that anybody hears this podcast and they're moving. I'll give them 10% off the whole move, materials, everything. So, but yeah, Jubilee City Movers. That's on Instagram, Facebook. My name's Will Waldrop on all socials. Facebook and Instagram is just God's Will 414. If there's anything that I can do for you, pray for you, serve you in any way, somebody that's looking for a job, anything that I can do, feel free to reach out. Love to hear from you if anything impacted you, man. Jordan, I thank you for having me on the show, buddy.
That's all, man. Thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. See you guys soon.